How's it going? Welcome back to the channel. And as you can see, we did it. We took home a Scar promo card with a location-based deck. Thank you guys for clicking on the video. Thank you for the support of the channel. I know I've been a little quiet over the last couple weeks, just grinding out set championships, trying to make top cut with one of our off-meta decks. And this time we finally did it. As you can see here, this deck has a ton of locations. It caught a lot of people off guard. And in the specific tournament that we played in, we had a very good day. If you want to just see the deck list and try it out for yourself, the link will be down in the description below. It is a location-based deck based off of the 28 locations from set 5 that made it to top 32 in Seattle. But this one is updated for set number 6. So you've got some extra goodies like the Galactic Council Chamber and some early game threats like Calhoun, which you'll see in the deck list. So here is the deck list that we ran with for the set championships at Fast Break over in St. Cloud. Now this room was filled with red blue, and as we go over our matchups, you'll see we played red blue most of the time. So having a really good hyper aggro deck really set us up very well for games that we were on the play. And with that hyper aggro, you'll see we have 4 daisies. Pretty much if we can get 1 or 2 out, we were good to go, especially putting on the pressure super early, getting those actions off the top of the deck and into the bottom while really needing like a brawl in order to get removed. Got 4 Captain Hook for the Captain Synergy on turn 1. 4 Fix-It Felix, a great card if you're running locations in your deck. If you play a location on 1 and Felix on 2, you get to draw a card off of his ability. Lilo is great for any matchup that is pretty much not against Maui Shark. Being able to bring her back towards the end of the game when we don't have a lot of card draw is really good. Unfortunately, we played against 3 people with Maui Half Sharks, so she was ink most of our games, because otherwise she'd just be a free target for Maui to hit. 3 copies of Calhoun, giving us that added pressure early on the board to prevent some early questing or early singing without being punished for it. Doc to refill our hand, we've got 4 copies of that. Mr. Smee for some extra character early game aggro. And then the star of the deck, John Silver, 4 copies. Being able to throw down 3-4 locations on turn 4 with John Silver already ready to quest, getting pretty much full resist and 4-5 lore in one turn, put a lot of games just out of hand. And most of my games became, if they couldn't deal with John Silver before the locations came out, it was pretty much game over. Then also we had 2 copies of the Shift Fix-It Felix, just giving our locations a little bit more willpower, specifically against things like Maui coming in, taking something out very easily. 4 copies of Fire the Cannons, just to give us a way to target things that don't want to be exerted, like your Flynn Sisu combo, or getting rid of like a early Cinderella if we played against a Steel Song deck. And then the rest of the deck, 24 spots, are just the lowest locations that you can find in these colors that also give you lore. They're also all inkable, so we don't get stuck with any of them in our hand. Now, the only location in here that doesn't give you lore passively per turn is Rapunzel's Tower. This one specifically is for your Smees. If you don't get a captain out early, Smee gets an extra 3 health or 3 turns to deal with. Same thing with Daisy, making her a 1/7, making it super hard for like single target, making it really hard for the low strength attackers or low damage songs or actions, really hard to get rid of her. But even more crazy is if I moved a John Silver here and had 3-4 locations out, he's got all that resist. He's a 3/6, nearly impossible to get rid of unless our opponent has a specific answer like a Brawl plus Ice Block or like a Let It Go. And then on the back end of the deck, you will see the new card from set 6, the Galactic Council Chamber. This location has perfect synergy with John Silver because he is an alien, along with the like 5 or 6 other tags that he has. But because he's an alien, it only costs 1 to move him here. And then he basically protects the location, and all your locations are protecting him from straight damage. So really good synergy, and it really prevented people from being able to challenge into that location, allowing me to easily win like on the next turn if I was able to plop down a bunch of low cost locations. So that's the deck overview. Now let's go over my specific matchups from the day. In the first round, we did go up against a red-blue. It was a Sisu Ice Block package, and lucky for us, we did end up winning the dice roll, so we were on the play. And as expected, our typical line here would be to drop a Daisy if we had it early, and then get out a Mr. Smee to just keep that pressure up, or if we got another daisy, then we could do like a daisy and a 1-cost location on turn 2. And then the real way that we won most of our games was on turn 3, we would drop John Silver, and turn number 4, I would specifically hold multiple 1-cost and 2-cost locations in my hand, so that turn 4 I could plop down 3 or 4 cards. And now John Silver was questing for 5 and had resist 5. So the only way that he was getting removed was with the Ice Block Brawl, which happened a few times, but with that many locations out and them having to use one of their turns to remove our John Silver, it usually was more than enough to build an early enough lead to close it out. And we were able to win both games that we were on the play, taking our first match 2-1. Now our second matchup, we actually, funny enough, went up against a almost mirror match. It was a Amethyst Steel locations deck. So instead of using things like Neverland, that swapped out for the ferry ship that's in purple. And in this matchup, I actually lost the dice roll, but I really got to see the power of cards like Daisy, cards like Fix-It Felix that really just put the matchup into my advantage, because although my Calhoun, my John Silver could challenge into their locations and take them out, this Fix-It Felix prevented them from challenging into us. We also had the Galactic Council Chamber, which our opponent didn't have, so they weren't able to challenge the location that John Silver was sitting at. And we ended up actually taking both of the games, so we went 2-0, winning both games on the draw. And yeah, pretty much the same thing happened. John Silver came out with 3 or 4 locations. We got a big enough lead, and then they couldn't challenge into our locations to even up the score or deal with things in time. John Silver had 3, 4 resist at times, making it almost impossible for things to challenge into it, and we were able to wrap up that matchup. All right, and now on to round number 3. We had actually already made it all the way up to table number 2 in the standings, but unfortunately for us, we got paired with the only color combination from my testing with this deck that I was a little scared of, and that was going to be Ruby Amethyst. Ruby Amethyst just has so many ways to get Rush onto the field or boost their characters that are on the field with Crab, that really I just need a perfect draw. And in this matchup in particular, I really don't want Daisy, because I'm not scared of Be Prepared. I'm not really scared of Brawl either. Sure, we can shut down things like Friends on the Other Side, but really just giving them all those extra characters to play around with was not good. And most of the time we would end up just failing to set up our board fast enough. They would be able to get a couple characters on the board themselves with 3 strength, 4 strength, and then either take out our locations or leave like our John Silver vulnerable with the only thing on the field. Lady Tremaine comes down, takes them out. So we're never really to regain the tempo. We did end up going on the draw for these matchups, but we ended up losing both of our games. We lost 0-2 in this case. And I think looking back, although I love having Daisy for the other matchups, getting her in the opening hand kind of was a death sentence. I would have preferred Captain Hook, Smee, locations, if I can get all the locations and get John Silver out and get a super big lead before turn 6 when Tremaine comes down. I think I would have been in a lot better of a situation, but just getting the daisies, having that as my only 1-drop, and unfortunately I couldn't really use her as an attacker because they weren't exerting anything unless my stuff was exerted. So she kind of just sat there or got brawled. But that's how it is sometimes. Sometimes you just go up against a bad matchup. I was a little bit discouraged about how one-sided it was, but we actually ended up being able to stay on table number 2. We got paired up in our round 4 matchup. And in this one in particular, we went up against a red-blue player that was playing DKP's list from the Melbourne Challenge, just 1-1. And at this point, round 4, everyone pretty much knew what each other were playing. So he wasn't too pleased to find out that he was playing against me and all the locations. And lucky for us, in this matchup, we won the dice roll. So our hyper aggro deck was able to come away pretty strong, getting 1 or 2 daisies out nice and early, putting all those actions that they're really searching for to the bottom of the deck, and winning before Maui Shark can come out really helped us seal game 1. And then for game number 2, when that deck was on the play, we really just have no shot. If they hit their turn 2 ramp, it's pretty much game over. They've got the tools like the super goofs to challenge into things with Rush. They've got all the Mauis to do the same thing, take care of all of our locations. And then once that big Maui comes out, pretty much the only option I would have is like keeping everything unexerted and try to take out the Mauis with the 7 Doors Mine and hopefully draw into like a fire cannons and But with popsicles, healing the Mauis and making it impossible to swing into it, because we don't have any evasive characters in this list, it was just really hard to come back and win when we were on the draw. But luckily, game 3, we once again were on the play. We had a pretty good opening with our Daisy Ducks with the turn 3 John Silver into turn 4. I think on this one we had 3 locations and a Fire the Cannons just to take out like a Tipo or something. And then after that, I think they still were able to get a Maui Shark out, but he couldn't challenge right away. And by that time, we already had 5 locations on the board. John Silver was still there. And in one turn, we had gotten 9 lore off of that combo. And we were able to take our 3rd win in the tournament, pretty much guaranteeing that we were going to make the top cut. And that's when in round 5, I did something that, granted, I complained about in one of my earlier videos, and I took an intentional draw for round 5. Now, yes, the intentional draw made it so that I guaranteed my 5th place standing. I made top cut. I had a pretty good chance of getting a favorable matchup, even if I was going to be on the draw. But more importantly, at this point in the day, I was starving. All of my games, except for round 2, had mostly gone to time. And with only a 5-minute break between rounds, I didn't pack anything to eat like an idiot. So when I finished round 4 and I saw that I had 20 minutes on the clock still before the round ended, I ran to the store, got some food, was trying to finish it before round 5, but got back right as the round was starting. And then me and my opponent agreed we'd just take the extra hour break, trying to relax, trying to think about who we'd be playing up against in the top cut. And I got to enjoy a nice like chicken sandwich from Wawa or something. Now this does come back to bite me, because remember that DKP list that we beat in round 4? Well, he was our first matchup in the top cut. He placed 4 after Swiss. I placed 5. So this time he was going to be on the play. I'll be on the draw because we ID'd our round 5, which at this point we've already been over at Fast Break for 5-6 hours. I've got another hour and a half home. So at the end of the day, it wasn't the worst thing in the world to get paired into an unfavorable matchup. It went pretty much as I described in the other game. I won the game that I was on the play. He would win both games that he was on the draw, so I would be knocked out of the tournament. But we still were able to secure the Scar card. So I'm very happy with how we did. I'm even more pleased that we were able to take a deck that really hasn't been seen a lot. Yes, it does have the accolades of getting to the top of the DLC in Seattle, but to be able to go to a set champs where a lot of people are playing meta decks and come out with a promo felt really good. Thank you to Jess, my wife, for recommending taking this deck. It was either going to be this or our Raya Fasa deck that we failed to make top cut in our other set champs with. So thank you for convincing me to go ahead and just play something fun, play locations, and see what happens. If you guys made it to the end of the video, thank you guys so much. Make sure you sub to the channel. We have a bunch of coverage to come for Lorcana, with Arcasia's Island set to be revealed this week and to come out that first week of March. Very excited to try out these dual ink cards and build some really interesting decks. In particular, there is a Mr. Smee card that I think is going to work very, very well in a pirate location deck. That does it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.